Hello, hello. Hi, everyone. Thank you again for joining us. As everyone knows, this is our Heart to Heart series sponsored by the Matus Law Group. And this is really a chance where we love to introduce to you people that we really want to work with and we are excited to work with, and we want to share it with all of you. We think that these people are people that we think you should know, like, and trust. And we want to share what they have, their knowledge, their skills and some of their life lessons. So today, we are so honored to have Matthew Victoria. I mean, I've known Matt for a while, but really knowing what he does when it comes to the mortgage industry and his background, a lot of you, you're going to have your mind blown because he always likes to share very unique ways of helping people, helping families. And he is very, very well versed when it comes to mortgages, that it's really amazing that he's always sharing tools that I've never heard of, or if I did, I didn't realize this is a person who really understands it. So, Matt, thank you for being here. Thank you so much.
I'm honored to be here as well. So thank you for thinking of me.
Oh, I love it. So, Matt, I mentioned, we've known each other in different circles and things like that. But I think I'd love for you to share just maybe a little bit of a tidbit of really, what got you here, where you are now. I know you're a loan officer, you're very well versed in it, but I'm wondering if you might be able to share with everyone just your journey of how you got to where you are.
Sure. Well, thank you for asking. This is actually my third life because some of us in these businesses have had multiple lives and different ways that ended us up to where it is that we are. So for me, originally, I was actually a mechanic.
Oh, wow.
So I fixed
That's
construction
amazing.
equipment. I went to Lincoln Tech.
Love
I
it.
wound up, if I had gone a little later, they had a BMW program that I would have actually wound up going into,
Oh,
but
wow.
didn't happen. And my parents told me to become a plumber. I should have listened to them, but I didn't. Plumbing with business skills puts you into a different area or different trajectory.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Oh, you're right.
So,
I mean,
but
finding anyone in those two areas that you've already mentioned would be phenomenal. So it's amazing that you started in those really well-respected areas. That's amazing.
always good with my hands. So I wound up I tried Votech for a little while.
Hmm.
And when you're out of high school and then you're in high school with kids, it's a different feel. So
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, this isn't the place for me. So I wound up going to Lincoln Tech.
Yeah.
And then while I was there, I was working the night shift at Autoland in Springfield.
Nice.
So I've always done things like that. And
Oh,
then I wound up fixing construction equipment and I was a road mechanic, right?
wow.
So you might have heard of a company called United Rentals. So they're
Yes.
all over the place. They're blue and
Yeah.
white. And
See them all the way. Yeah, blue and white. I was gonna say that.
I did that for a few years. I was actually the guy that would go out to the construction sites and
Oh,
fix them. Like, have you ever been to the Palisades Mall up in Nyack, New York?
yes. Oh my gosh. It's
I
huge.
helped build that place.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
It's amazing. So you were there for when it wasn't even there and
correct.
oh wow. Oh,
They were building everything out when it was just iron and steel.
mhm.
And I would go around to the because we had man lifts, bucket lifts, we had the generators, the light towers, and all the other stuff. And
Wait, and so
so
how old were you when you're doing all this? I mean, it sounds like you were really young
you
when
know,
you were
20,
doing.
22, 21, 22, maybe something
My
like that.
gosh. I think
You
that's where
know,
the fearlessness is, because you're like, okay, let's just do it. Wow.
yeah. Well, and I was out on my own, so it's like this was prior to really having cell phones the way we do now. You
Okay.
know, like we
Yes.
had one, but it was a StarTAC or it was the Nextel, the bloop, the little chirps.
Yeah.
That
Uh-huh.
that's what we had. So I would have to call back to the shop but I had to be self-reliant and
Yeah.
fix these things on my own and then figure out, well, what do I have to do to make sure this doesn't happen again for the next guy?
Yeah.
So that was like the MacGyver in me kind of coming out there. So
Oh, so you mean, so as I mean, obviously you're learning this new skill, you're learning, being in this new environment, but yet I love the idea that you're also thinking about you probably will be moving on, but I want to make sure the next person taking over doesn't go through what I went through. That's a lot of emotional intelligence there, I have to say. That's great.
it
That's
was
really
definitely it was definitely learning experiences for me, not realizing that it would carry over throughout my next careers.
Yeah. So that's what you were doing then. Wow. It's a lot. And then, and then what happened after that?
So my parents had they had a bridal magazine. It was called Contemporary Bride at the time,
Oh, wow.
and they had New York and New Jersey. It was originally based out of Detroit. So
Hmm.
they wound up buying the franchise or the areas here for New York and New Jersey.
Oh, neat.
And they had done that. They were married and they would work together. So for me, I always saw that and said, "Oh, that's something I would love to have," you know? And fast forward later, my wife and I work together and we don't anymore. So it's better that way for us.
Oh, no.
Not everybody
That's,
can do that.
that's another podcast.
That's a whole other that's
So
a
wait,
whole
but the
other
both of you had worked at the magazine? Is that
no,
right?
no, no. We
Oh,
no
sorry.
in the mortgage business. She
Mortgage. Got
processed
it.
for
Got
me
it.
for a
Okay,
little
got
while.
it.
And that's another story.
Okay.
Um, so they kept badgering me and kept saying, "Oh, you'd be great. You know, you can talk to people." And so I wound up I let my guard down and I let them talk me into it. And then I wound up doing that. So I was a mechanic for probably about 5 years or so,
Yeah.
and then wound up going into the magazine. So I did sales, I did marketing. So I used to have to help my clients create their ads or kind of perfect them, and I had to talk to people. So like, you ever go to like a bridal show? Like they have the bridal
Yeah.
shows that they do,
Oh,
like Elegant or American. Yeah, I went to all of those, so I know
oh
all
my
of those people.
that for me that was a long time ago, but I do remember a little chaotic and it was overwhelming. And so I can only imagine if you're a vendor trying to get heard above the noise, that's a skill.
So I had a twofold a twofold duty. So one of them was to give out the magazine and to get the girl to fill out the slip for the honeymoon giveaway we did so we can
Yeah.
create our mailing lists and give out to our vendors. And then
Wow.
I had to go talk to the vendors to try and sell them ads.
Oh, oh
So
my God.
that's where the networking part wound up coming in because that's part of what I would have to do.
Yeah, because you're very good at that. For everyone who's listening, um, every time I would go to a networking event or just an event, Matt Victoria was there. Matt Victoria was there. So, and that's a skill. And it wasn't that he was just there. We all knew what you did, Matt. We all knew who you are. So that's such big kudos to you because, we do see a lot of common names and faces in certain events that we go to. But there are times where someone's name does get brought up. I'm like, oh, wait, what do they do again? But nope, you're very clear. You're very good with your message. You really are. So magazine, wow, this is amazing. So this, I can see where your networking skills were really fine-tuned over there.
Networking and marketing. So those
Yeah.
kind of went together with themselves. And then did that. I handled New York. So I used to have to drive out to Long Island, to the boroughs. And to be honest with you, the traffic sucked.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, just saying it already, I'm like, oh, I sound tired.
I remember one day I had a bridal show out in Long Island in Suffolk County. It took me 5 hours to get out there on a
I
Sunday.
believe it.
Yeah.
Believe it. I believe it. I used to live in Long Island and I remember that it was just long. It was hard. It wasn't like a
Mhm.
straight shoot. You had to keep
Nope.
turning. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. So you're really okay. So you were doing a lot. You were doing a
Now
lot.
picture doing a bridal show from 7 to 10, packing up and then driving back home. I wouldn't get home until after 12 o'clock. So
Now,
kind of burnt me out after a while. I did it for 10 years.
oof. Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
10 years. Oh my goodness. All right. So then at one point you were like, enough's enough.
So once the internet came around, like the Knot and Wedding Wire and those kinds of websites, it all kind of started going downhill from there. And my father was the type of person where he knew what was best.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
he's my stepfather. He's old school Jewish from Brooklyn, if that can give you any kind of indication of what type of personality he had.
Very wise and
Yes,
yes.
that's a good way of saying it. So we used to do this a little bit, but still nonetheless went through it all. And then my mother wound up passing away. And
Mm.
once my mother had passed away, because we used to have lunch every day together when I was at the office. So it was nice being around them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then once she passed away, I said, I started refinancing my house at that time. And so I was kind of going through a bunch of different things like 203K, do I buy down the rate? What if I take a 15-year or 20-year? So I was kind of going through all those different things.
Yeah.
And at that point, I didn't like what I was doing anymore just because like my heart wasn't in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that, I knew that there was a shelf life to what we were doing
Yeah,
because the print industry has taken a beating since the advent of the internet.
for
It's
sure.
perception. People perceive it to be a better deal for them. So
Right.
perception is reality.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I
So to
agree
try
with
and
that.
sell against that, and then I had to chase after people to get checks and payments. Now I don't have to chase after people. Either you want a loan or you don't. You're going to give me your paperwork. If you don't, sorry, there's nothing I can
Yeah,
do.
that's exactly
Right.
right. Yeah, there's something bigger on the horizon that you need, and if you don't follow through, it's not going to
Yeah.
happen.
Same thing. If they don't want their estate planning done, then you know what? It's okay. That's on you.
Exactly. Exactly. Wow. But so while you were going through that, I mean, I guess that's when you were really getting exposed to the different things that mortgages do, financing can do, all of those things. I can imagine.
So I was at a crossroads, right? I loved doing sales and I loved working for myself. I didn't want to be, chained to a desk in an office someplace.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to go back to being a mechanic because my joints started hurting a little bit from doing all that. So I was okay to get out of it at that point.
Once those joints speak, I have to tell you, everything else
Yeah,
drowns
it
out. I'm like,
sucks.
what? Yes, I know, right? You should see me
Yes.
today. I was like limping. I'm limping today.
And there's nothing that we could do about it, unfortunately. So, but at that point, so I was at a fork and I actually thought about getting my real estate license.
Oh,
And then I
oh,
realized that I really didn't want to drive people around and show them houses. So
yeah,
that wasn't really what I wanted to go. So I
right.
said, oh, you know what? The funny thing is the mortgage guy was like talking to me about doing this. So at that point, I kind of said, yeah, you know what? I can do that.
You give it a try.
And
That's
this
right.
was 2011. So the crash already happened.
Okay.
We wound up getting screwed in our house when we bought our house because we bought in August of '08, and
Mhm.
literally the bottom dropped out in September, October.
I remember it vividly. I think a lot of us remember that. I remember exactly where I was. I remember who I was on the phone with when it was happening. Yeah, that was scary. But so,
Well,
but you at least got into it after.
yes.
That was good.
I,
That was
I got
good.
it in 11, so it was already after the 2008 happened. So it was
Wow.
a coming back into a different period at that time.
So you get your feet wet like that, but I have to say that is great to know though, Matt, because, you know, as you look at what's going on now when it comes to buying and selling homes and getting the financing, it's really, we're at a crossroads, I have to say, because, it was slow, then it picked up. We had lots of action going on, then it slowed down again, and now we're into another lull. But with all of that, you've seen it all. Then you've really seen it all.
Yeah, well, like I said, a lot of people that were in the business from 8 to 11, if they're still in the business, they'll tell you some stories.
Yeah, scary.
But coming in at 11, it was on the uptake. So basically, I had to figure out how to make my business, and I had to go out and hunt.
Yeah.
I had to figure out what to do and how to do it and all that. Like nobody really teaches you per se.
No,
Yeah.
no. And if you could look back and you look at yourself, like so say you met yourself then, the that Matt down in 2008, 2008, 2011, is there something you would tell him? Like what would be, to tell him a message that you would tell him now that you have this hindsight?
Learn more quicker. Right?
Mm,
Read more.
yeah,
Meet more people because I didn't really start networking that much in the early beginning.
yeah.
It did come because I had the networking background of when I was in the magazine. We had a lot of networking events, and that's where I would meet a lot of people because a lot of my sales was done in person, not on the phone.
And I have to say that's the most effective way to do things. Because I don't know. I mean, I know we meet
It's
a
the most
lot.
enjoyable way.
It is. I agree too, because we all meet so many people with different types of media, phone, internet, video, like we're doing now. But I always find in person is the most you're right. It's the most fun. It's the most effective because you really pick up on the vibe. They get your vibe. When you're meeting someone for the first time, through any other means, it's hard. It's challenging. There's ways, but I agree with you. So you really learned it the old-fashioned way, which is great, which is really good. Did
Text
did
messaging
anyone
and email I find very impersonal.
Yeah.
And not only that, but you can't your emotion doesn't necessarily come across the right way through it. So it's very easy to for somebody to look at something and say, "Oh, huh?"
Yeah, you can infer tone. That
Yeah.
happens a lot. God forbid you press caps by accident. Oh, people are like, "Are you yelling at me?" I go, "Well, I know, no, what happened?" I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." But so at this point, there has been changes in the real estate market with everything that's going on. Is there anything good that you'd like to share, Matt, that people should be aware of? Because I think there's a lot of challenges out there. A lot of people are are also a little bit negative about the market.
They are. A lot of that tends to come from the media nowadays in society. You
Yeah.
know, people tend to be more negative than positive, and people should be more positive. A smile's free. You know,
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing
I
wrong with
love
saying
that.
hi to somebody, smiling at them, holding a door for them. Like people need just good old-fashioned niceness.
Matt, thank you. I 100% agree with you. 100% agree with you. And grace. I
Yes.
always feel nobody's perfect.
Humility too.
Yes, nobody's perfect. And perhaps if we approach that no one is intentionally trying to screw you, everyone is trying to do their best to help. If you come from that perspective, then perhaps we can hear each other, we can see each other. Because I think if you come from that other perspective that I think you're going to screw me and all this negative, it is hard to hear good things that could be happening, good opportunities, good suggestions. And but it's all here in the mind. I really think it's very hard because I like you've said it all the time that it doesn't hurt to just smile and say hi and just be
Yeah.
kind. What happened
Well,
to kindness?
a lot of people nowadays, because of the economy the way that it is, a lot of people are rate focused, right?
Yes.
And while rate is important, it's not the first part of things,
Hmm.
right? Really, the first part of things is like I have talked to so many people. I said, "So you were pre-approved already? Well, what were you pre-approved for? "Oh, I don't know. What was your down payment? I don't know. What was your monthly payment? I don't know. What's your credit score? I don't know." So, hearing all of this, it means that people are not truly educating people, nor do they see the value of being educated.
Understood. I agree. And it's funny because sometimes I fall into that trap. I remember years ago, I was thinking about a certain type of property or whatnot. And then I was talking to a mortgage person. And the first thing I said is, well, if you can get me a good rate. And I remember he was just like, it's not about the rate. And
Yeah,
I didn't know it
yeah,
came out
okay,
of my mouth.
whatever. Just give me a
I
good
didn't
rate.
even know it came out of my mouth. And I
Yeah,
was like, oh, that's true. It's so true. And you're
yeah.
right. I think education is the big thing because I think the rate is probably the most easiest to understand. But then when you look at the big picture, you'll see like that is just a part of it. It really shouldn't be the whole thing. But sadly, I do think a lot of people only focus on that and then they're missing out on other good opportunities, right?
Well, some of that is also generational and societal. You know, like our parents told us pay your mortgage off as quick as you can, which is
Correct.
not the best advice for people,
I
right?
agree.
Just like a lot of them didn't have credit cards, and that's bad too because you need credit. It's a necessary evil,
Hmm.
you know, and they're not taught that look what else. Like you can have the lowest rate, but what if it's the worst program for you?
Yeah.
You know, like you go to a car dealer and you say, "Well, what's the cheapest car I get?" Well, the cheapest payment I can get, right? Well, meanwhile, they drag it out for 80 months.
Yes,
They
you're
gave you
right.
what you wanted, which was the lowest payment.
But yet,
Yeah.
yeah, you're
And you
right.
go online, right? And you get a rate quote from some online internet bank. What happens when you want to call them and actually speak to them and say, "Hey, I have a problem or a question. Can you tell me about this?" Good luck with that one.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. And I think that's probably part of your superpower, Matt, that you've been able to help a lot of families who may have thought it's a no-go. I don't think I can get a mortgage. All this stuff had happened to me. Either it was bad credit, I had a bankruptcy, or I just don't think I can afford it. I have to say, I think that is really part of your superpower, that you're very creative and that you are very good in finding out we can help you. Here's a solution. Here's something that you probably never even thought about because you've shared with me a lot of stories, especially when it comes to people who really weren't thinking about finding a new chapter after, say, a bankruptcy, right, man? I mean, they're able to bounce back sooner than they think.
A lot of people think that it's game over and it's done.
Hmm.
And I've helped quite a few people. Now, everybody's different. You know, sometimes you need a little bit of time, so that happens. But the main thing is, well, okay, so in that time, what are we going to do? You know, let's go and work on some of the credit issues that you may have, or let's work on this, or let's get you set up the right way. So this way you can figure out how to make things work for you. Like I like to think of myself as a therapist.
Hmm.
Right? The more I ask and the more that I know, the better it is that I can help somebody.
Exactly. And that is such a key for everything. Keep on asking questions.
Mhm.
I think a lot of times I meet professionals who I'll mention a couple of things and all of a sudden they think they know what I want and they're already into the solution. And if they only asked a few more questions, I would have been like, oh no, I don't really think yeah, that's a part of it. That's not the big problem we're trying to figure out. So you're right, asking questions, being that therapist mode, that's huge. That's a good one too.
Sometimes it's like a flow chart, yes, you go here, no, you go here, and then you come down, yes, no. And it's because we have so many guidelines and different types of products and different little nuances to different things, and kind of realizing, like, somebody heard me talk the other day and they're like, how do you remember this stuff? I said, honestly, I made so many mistakes in the beginning. I went to go figure out, like, how do I not do it again? Back to the mechanic stuff, right?
Yep.
Or if there's a new program that comes out, okay, what do I need to know about this? Because every mortgage guy says they can do anything, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can
Yeah.
do that. I can do that. Yeah, but can you really? Like, do you actually know about what it is to speak intelligently enough to somebody say, I don't think that's a good option for you.
Yeah. And to know the nuances because A plus B isn't always C. There's a lot of times people hear a certain fact pattern and they're like, oh, this is the product they probably have. But sometimes not all the time. And it does need someone like you who's been experienced to say, maybe, but here's another option. I'm curious, Matt, is there a program that you might be able to share that a lot of people weren't aware about, but it's really good and that's something that I don't know why people don't do enough or know enough?
Are we talking investors or are we talking people that are like owner occupants?
Either way, yeah, either way.
So investors, there's something that's called a DSCR loan,
Hmm.
and it's a no income loan. So we're not collecting any personal income documentation,
Hmm.
because a lot of people who are investors or self-employed, their accountants get a little crazy and they have trouble showing income.
Yep.
And on top of that, if it's an investment property, you can hold it in an LLC. You don't have to put it in your own personal name.
That's great. Oh, so that's really good because that has been an issue in the past where the no doc loans were poo-pooed for a while. And now, so it sounds like you've been able to find a program, help people get back, like, because that's a huge thing. That is a big deal. That's so huge, especially for my business owners.
Well, and then on the primary residence, because that, and when I say nuances,
Mhm.
there's differences between if you're an owner occupant or if you're an investor or if it's a second home, there's differences between all of them, right?
Wonderful.
But an
Okay.
owner occupant, people, let's say they own a business and they do a cash business, right? Well, we can do what we call no doc loan for them as a primary residence. So it's no taxes, no W-2s, no pay stubs, no
Great.
nothing, right? So I had a
Great.
divorcee. She wound up getting a big chunk of change from her ex, right?
Hmm.
And she was sent to me by a mutual friend that we have. And I wound up, she was qualified for a $250,000 house.
Oh, wow.
She wants
Okay.
to buy in brick. Who in there? What house have you seen in even in this area?
I
250.
know.
You got to go down Atlantic City or something like that, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I said, hold on a minute. So let's look. I said, what are you getting? And we wound up doing it with the no document loan. And she has a new person that she's involved with. Well, she's like, well, I want to buy with her, but she wasn't working yet. So I
Oh,
said,
wow.
here's what we're going to do. We're going to buy now because your rate's a little higher, your payment's higher. We're going to buy now. And then in 12 months, we're going to come back in and do a refinance, put her on the loan, drop your payment. And the extra money that you have right now, you're going to use to subsidize your monthly mortgage payment. So this way it's comfortable for you.
That is great. That is great. She must have been
Very
ecstatic.
few lenders ask, what's a comfortable monthly payment for you?
Yeah, exactly. That's right, because you go right to the interest and that's an end of the story
Mhm.
and all that stuff. Wow, she must have been ecstatic that you were able to do that. That's
She
really
was.
good.
She's in brick. And this way her kids didn't have to change schools either.
Oh, that's so good. That is huge, Matt. That is so good. And I love the idea that, you seem to get the whole story because you're right. It's one thing to do this, but you knew she had a family. You know what she wanted to do. You know what her goals were. You know what was going on with so and so. It's so funny because you're right. You are like a therapist. You're really digging deep into these people's lives. And I never
Yeah.
realized but I do find professionals who may not dig deep enough. And if they knew about this other circumstance, they may have recommended a totally different product. So it sounds like
Yeah.
you're crossing
Or they
your
may have
T's,
just said,
dotting your
sorry, you can't do it, and that's it. So, like for people who are self-employed, we can actually take their bank statements, we can take all of the deposits into their bank statement, and then we can actually spit that out as monthly income.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so good. Matt, how can people get in touch with you? What's the best way? We will put all of your information in the chat and all of that, but please share that with everyone who's listening.
The easiest way, you can find me on Facebook, Match Your Mortgage Guy. My cell phone number is 908-296-8904. Text, call. I answer my phone all the time because you know what? You never know who's calling. Like some people, if they're not in sales or in some of the industries that we're in, they won't answer their phone if they don't know who it is.
Yeah, that's right. But other than that, Matt the mortgage guy, that is easy to
Matthew.
remember.
So I'll tell you a quick funny story about this. So one of the guys that did bridal shows in the beginning, he said to me, he's like, "Well, what's like your thing?" He's like, "What's your shtick?" That's the way he talked, you know. He was a
Okay.
flashy kind of guy. I said, "Well, I don't know." I said, "Well, I do mortgages." He's like, "Well, yeah." He's like, "But," I said, "Well, how about like everybody's got a guy, right? This is Jersey. We all got a guy or
Yeah,
a person, right?"
that's
So
right.
I said, he's like, "Well, match your mortgage guy." He's
Oh,
like, "It says what you do. Your inference trust in it." He said, "Because you're the guy, and
that's
nobody ever
right.
asked if they're good or not, because I wouldn't give them to you if they weren't."
You're magic. That's good. I
So
love
match your
that.
mortgage
But it's
guy.
also easy to remember,
Yeah.
and I think that is awesome. I really do. I mean, really, I could tell that you love what you do. And when you have that passion, then people know you're in it. You're really invested in them because you put the investment in yourself. And that when you provide options and you're providing ideas, it's genuine because you sincerely love what you do. I can see you love what you do. You're so excited. Every time I talk to you about it, you're just so excited about your product. I mean, and that's so good because I love working with people who love what they do. I really do. And I
Well,
think
I help
families
people,
see
and
that.
what the
Yeah,
first when somebody calls me or when I have to call somebody, the first question is, "Well, how can I help you?" Like, what are you looking to accomplish? Do you want to buy properties to become investment properties, or are you doing this to do this? Like, all of these different questions help me. Like, I don't know, maybe a reverse mortgage is good for you, maybe a 203k, maybe a bank statement, maybe a USDA loan. All of these different things, I have to figure out what to help you with.
yeah,
Where's your money
exactly.
coming from? I mean, are you getting a gift? Do you need this? Do you need look? These are all different like layers. Like I said, it's a flow chart.
Yeah, that's it. Now, one last thing. If there was someone new coming into your industry, is there some type of tidbit or advice you'd like to share with them?
Learn,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
Network with other mortgage people, and because the beautiful thing about Facebook is I'm in groups that have mortgage people from across the country.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of different people from different places and I get to hear and see the things they do. Like a lot of times we put in there like problems we have and other
Yeah.
people answer. And it's like, oh, I never even thought about that. Just
Love
learn your
that.
guidelines, learn your programs, learn what the differences are to be able to convey that to people and then come up and be a solutions person. I don't focus on the
Absolutely.
problem, I focus on the solution.
I agree. I love that because that's all I ever want to be with people is to be helpful and find the solution. But if someone poses me an issue, I also would appreciate it to say, this is broken, but here's what I think we can fix. I love that because it is a lot to say, this is broken, goodbye. You're like, okay, and you just feel bad. But
Well,
you're
somebody
not
called
like
me
that,
with an interesting one, and I said, "You know what?" I said, "That's a good one." I said, "I haven't come across that." I said, "But you know what? I know where to go to find the answer. I got the answer." He's
right?
like, "That's what I want. Somebody that's a solutions-oriented
And
person
that's the value of you because you're involved with so many groups and you know so many people, you will find the answer. I can't imagine
it's a
anybody
challenge for
putting
me."
you. Yeah, yeah. I guess you're right, it's okay. But I also cannot imagine anyone giving you a question. You're just like, I don't know. You're not that type. You are not that type. So
No,
thank you.
because
Thank
it's
you.
for me, I want to know what it is. I want to know how to help somebody, and it could wind up helping somebody else too down the road. If I have a team, like, hey, I got a question. Well, I ran into this. I know what that is.
I love it. Well, Matt, thank you so much for spending your time with us. It went so fast, but I
I
think you
know.
really shared a lot of valuable information. But what I love most is that you really told us about, how you started, your drive, your skill set of really figuring out solutions to problems, and some of them really complicated. And you've been through it all. I have to say, hard things make us better. So, Matt, thank you so much for everything. And everyone, tune in again. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, Christine.